Hey guys, we're going to work on some leadership development today. One of the core competencies of a leader is the ability to cast vision. And it could be called share vision. It really depends on the level of leadership, if it's casting or sharing. And we'll talk a little bit about the difference between those two. But casting or sharing vision is absolutely critical as a skill or a competency for a leader. And let me explain why. You see, to get any group of people motivated to all move in the same direction, whether they're volunteers, whether it's at an organization, whether it's the members of a gym or the employees at work, there has to be a shared vision amongst those individuals in which they all share that vision, they can communicate that vision. It is a foundational item that will lead to the actual productivity and management, particularly the more complex or the larger scale the organization or the number of employees are. And without that vision, you're constantly going to feel like you're herding cats, right? That everybody's running in the same direction. If you've ever walked into a room where a babysitter was a little overwhelmed with too many kids, or a daycare had too many individuals in it, and the kids are just going nuts, that really is an organization without vision. So vision becomes foundational. And as a leader, your ability to communicate, to share, and to cast vision is a competency, is a skill that you learn and practice and work on. Because you should, we're going to talk about a number of these areas, in a number of areas in relationally dealing with employees or volunteers, you lead with vision before anything else. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what vision is and why it's so critical. We're going to do some application of where we apply this to some specific points. And I'm going to talk about the burden of sharing or casting vision. The burden goes up as your level of leadership goes up, as you have more people, more individuals, a larger scale. The burden and skill of your ability to share and cast vision to other people and communicate it effectively, the burden's higher and higher and higher. And so the skill has to continue to develop as your leadership grows, or else you're going to cap yourself at the number of people that you can lead effectively or how effectively you can lead them. So let me give you a couple examples about casting vision. Fundamentally, there are some questions that everybody wants to know about an organization or a mission, a church, a nonprofit. We all want to be able to ask or answer the same questions. And we want everyone in the organization to be able to answer these questions. So here's the questions. You ready? First of all, who are we? Who are we? Like, why does our organization exist? Why does our church exist? Why does our business exist? I mean, what makes us us, right? And so that's why we have things like mission statements, and we have a vision statement maybe. We have distinctives or core values. These are all of the things that organizations attempt to use to get common language around. This is who we are. Let's have a shared identity where we're speaking the same language. And whether you ask Joe or you ask Susie, you're going to get the same answer. So who are we? Number one. Number two, where are we going? What are we trying to accomplish? Like, where are we going on the journey? If you ask 2 or 3 volunteers or individuals where we're going, like what the goals are, what's the big mission, what's the purpose here, and the answers are not close, so it's going to be problematic, right? Good luck getting them to make the same decisions about things that come up in their areas, their ministries, their jobs, if they don't even know why they're doing it and where they're going. Okay, third, so 1 is who we are, 2 is where we're going, 3 is why. Why are we doing what we're doing? What's the purpose? So not just where are we going to the destination itself, but why is it important? You got to be able to answer that. Fourth, this is really critical. We'll talk about this as it goes up in the leadership level. What can I do to help get us there? Every individual should know in an organization, what can I do in order to help us get there? And then lastly, how does our organization go about getting there? So what are the things that our organization has to be good at in order for this thing to work? Okay, so there's 5 questions that we think everybody needs to be able to answer. But the competency, the skill in casting and sharing vision as a leader is your ability to answer those questions for other people and then to remind them of those things in all these different areas of day-to-day volunteering, day-to-day work, day-to-day whatever it is. You as a leader have to be able to communicate those things when they don't know and remind them of it when they forget. Okay? Communicate it when they don't know, remind them when they forget. Now here comes some of the skill. Okay? Bill Hybels talks about that leadership, at one of its base levels, is just moving people from here to there. You go, where's here and there? Well, it doesn't matter. Whatever the organization is, the current status, the current place, where they're at, and then the there is what you're trying to get accomplished as an organization. So the here to there starts with a leader being able to communicate some vision. What? Well, where is there? Why is it important? How are we going to get there? And frankly, what you as an individual can do to help the organization make it. Bill Hybels will go even further and say, listen, part of explaining why the organization has to get from here to there is that you have to explain how great there is. In fact, he takes it a step further and says, beyond that, you have to explain that here is not good enough. We can't stay here. It's untenable. You've got to talk about the cost, the dissatisfaction of staying here, and you've got to be able to describe, almost paint a picture, and this is where the skill comes in, of how great it would be if you could make it there, wherever there is. So that you're creating that shared vision of we can't stay here, we've got to go there, and your ability to share the how, the plan to get there. These are all parts of casting vision and sharing vision. Now, the skill of this comes at some different levels. Okay, at a very base level, maybe the most basic level of a skill, a competency of this, is your individual ability to hear the shared vision in an organization, know what it is, and when asked, be able to answer it and talk about it with other people, right? I mean, that's pretty basic. You've got to know it. You've got to be able to talk about it. And in some sense, you've got to be able to teach it. If you can't do those things at the base and fundamental level, you're not going to be able to do any of the other things. So for instance, at the lowest level employee, the lowest level volunteer, what are we looking for? Well, I'm looking that every volunteer, every member of a gym, every employee of a job can do these things. They know where they're at, they know where they're going, they understand the identity, or at least the identity that is desired of the organization. They know the general plan of how to get there, and if they know nothing else, because they know who they are and they know where they want to go, they know why they are doing what they do, right? They understand their part, their role in the process of getting there. That's the fundamental thing we want everybody to know, okay? So, if you lead anybody, that means you need, for the people that you lead, to know these things, and it's your job to be able to teach them. You've got to be able to answer these questions for people you lead. Why? Okay, let me give you some examples. If you want to correct behavior, right? Yes, you could correct behavior by saying, hey, the rule is blank and you need to follow the rule. Like that's a way to correct. I would tell you, if we really got in depth in it, it's the worst way to correct, right? Because most people would then ask, well, why do we have the rule? What's the rule for? If you want to correct well, you start every correction conversation with the vision of why we do a certain thing a certain way. That's the vision. And then that's where the rule came from. You explain that. And then you talk about the behavior of the individual and how it doesn't match the vision. It's a much better conversation than saying we just broke a rule. If you want to celebrate an accomplishment for somebody, you could just, you could celebrate something sort of generic. You could celebrate something that doesn't have a lot of teeth around it. But if what you were celebrating was helping the organization or the department, the ministry, actually achieve the goal that is part of the vision, well, that celebration is a whole lot more impactful, because what you're saying is not only is it a win, but it's helping the entire organization fulfill the vision that we have for the organization. It is significantly more powerful to encourage and celebrate when you start with vision. It's significantly more impactful to correct by starting with vision. If you're trying to motivate somebody, right? You could think, look, I'll give you a really good pep talk about how you're a great person and I really like you and I want you to work harder. Could do that. Or I could come back to the shared vision that we have in an organization. And I could start with that. And then I could encourage or motivate that person by talking about the role that they have to help the organization in the shared vision. And it ends up that every time you start with vision, whether it's correction, whether it's encouragement, whether it's motivation, if you start with vision, you're going to do two things. One, you have the ability to have significantly more power and impact in the conversation that you're having. But additionally, you are, because some of this is repetitive, you are continuing to ingrain the shared vision into the minds of people that need to hear it over and over again. And that's our jobs. So let me give you some higher level skills that we want to work on developing, as a leader when it comes to casting vision. And let me hopefully give you a few application points of why that matters, maybe just a couple examples. And then we'll spend the rest of this time hopefully kind of breaking this down. We'll do some breakouts, we'll do some application of this, and just work on it together, hopefully as a team. Okay, as the burden of leadership goes up, the skill of casting vision becomes more difficult. For instance, at a lower level, I just need to be able to know why I do what I do, or I need to know why Susie does what she does, or I need to know how Susie contributes to the vision. As the leadership level goes up, it may be up to me to take the larger vision of the organization. And I may need to be the one that is actually figuring out how what Susie does actually contributes to the vision. That may not be spelled out for me. And so there's a skill level to taking the organization's vision or the organization's journey or the organization's identity and being able to personalize that down to people that I lead and saying, let me explain to you, let me communicate to you in terms that you understand how what you do matters in this larger story. So it's my job to write those people into the story. It's my job to take a look at the things that they do, and I'm making the application for them to explain how they're part of a larger story and a larger movement. And those things are not just always laid out for every person you lead. That may take a skill of you looking at it and thinking about it and working on it. As part of evaluation, there'll be times where you begin to think about it and realize, boy, I've got this person doing something that doesn't actually contribute to the vision, which is where you have some course correction, and we'll work on that later. But those are skills. Your ability to communicate vision in a way that the person will understand, because people listen and hear and understand differently. And so you may find that you have to tailor the explanation of the vision and the contributions to that person differently just based on the way they speak, the way they communicate, their personality type. And so there are a number of skills that go into you personalizing the vision casting process for smaller groups, individuals, different ministries, different generations or cultures, and you may need to tweak those things in order to make sure that each individual that you lead shares the vision and can answer these questions about the organization and about their role inside the organization. Okay, last part about casting and sharing vision. One of the most powerful ways to change and steer the culture of an entire organization is through vision. You're not going to significantly change and transform the culture in an organization with rules. Look, we need them. They're guidelines. They're things that have to get done. But vision is what powers organizations. It's what powers cultural changes inside large organizations. It is a shared vision, not the negative reinforcement of trying to limit people from doing things. And so here's what that means for you. Every single person you lead, the first thing you need to do is you need to look at a person you lead, whether it's a director, whether it's a team leader, whether it's a volunteer. You look at a person you lead and you say, do I think that they know the vision and their role in it and the methodology and all the questions about vision? Do I think they know that? That's the first assessment. It's yay or nay. And here's why that's the first assessment. You may know right off the bat they don't. You may just know, hey, there's a failure here, they don't know it, okay? We're going to put them in a different category. For all the people that you think you know, they know it, right? Then you got to go check, right? Then you need to go have the conversation about vision, where you start poking into that and you begin asking some questions around vision to find out if they know the answer to that. And then as a general habit, in your conversations, your one-on-ones, your team meetings, there's got to be a sort of a habitual thing that you begin to do as you communicate with your teams and your people, which is always starting with vision and ending with vision, right? So whether it's a celebration, whether it's a correction, whether it's a rally point, whether it's a send-off, that should always be sandwiched in with vision. Here's why we're doing it. Let's talk about the things that need to get fixed, the things that need to get changed, the things that we're celebrating, our team plan, all of our stuff, our task stuff. You task-oriented checkbox people love the stuff in the middle. But I got to end with more vision. So vision are the bookends to any conversation in which there are things that need to get done. Now, a lot of us who like to do things, we're very good at the to-do lists, and we're really terrible about remembering to consistently remind and encourage by starting and ending with vision. Who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, where we're going, how we're going to get it done, and each individual's personal role in order to accomplish that. Those are critical elements. You need to assess your team members and the people that you lead. You need to figure out if you think they even know it, and then you need to be poking in and assessing how well they know the vision. Is the vision a shared, common language that you constantly book in conversations and meetings with? And if not, there's some changes that you're going to have to make so that you can get everybody on the same page.